Is that better? Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me now? Crap. Anyways, welcome to the show. Thanks, Bella. Appreciate it. I think it should be fixed now. Can somebody give me a heads up that it's working? Please. All right. Yes. Okay. Felon says yes. Good. All right. Thanks. All right. Cool. Glad you guys could be here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining in. What do we got going on? Mom, that was a good. I saw that joke, Bella. Requiring New York elementary kids to learn Arabic. He is a kind of a perfect. Oh, thank you. He's kind of a perfect foil for all the to just scramble people's brains. All the the whole socialist, rabid communist, Muslim. They can roll out all the tropes. It's unfortunate and also kind of infuriating that the people in charge think so little of the American mind. But the only reason that they think so little of the American mind is that people actually believe absolute garbage and nonsense, and don't care about whether they're being lied to or not. What is it? There's some, the adage or the saying or the belief that, people, I don't understand what that means, going south. May save money. I don't know. The belief that people, Americans can look the other way on the whole imperial war crimes, going out and just stomping other people down, committing atrocities, environmental, and all kinds of things, right? Whatever you want, economic, environmental, etc. There's a belief that that people will look the other way on all that stuff as long as they got it good, right? Oh, I'm in the richest country in the world, and we have all the stuff, and we're the coolest and the greatest, and my life is fine, so I don't have to worry about how other people are faring. And I, for the most part, I think that's true. That's how people operate, especially the latte liberals, right? Well, I don't know why single out liberals. It's all across the board. Liberals and Republicans are like, we got ours. Life is good, so sorry about your luck if you live in another country. And that's real. That's that sense of privilege is a real freaking thing. I had that. I had the epiphany when I was very young. That I was like, I had the realization. I was like, wait. When I was like 6 or 7, I was like, hold on, checking everything. Oh, whoa, okay, I'm male, I'm white, I live in the US, the United States of America, and I live in California. Like, as far as like the privilege, I got I won like a lottery ticket on some levels, with all those things. And I realized that there was an advantage to all of those things. Now, do I relish, taking advantage of those things, or do I actually, feel in my heart and in my mind, like these days, like, check me out. I'm, no, I don't give a shit about those things. I'm not necessarily very proud of any of the things that people use like that, to stomp around and feel and lord their superiority over others, or whatever it might be. I still really enjoyed living in California, and I think that's cool. I don't know about being in the United States might not be necessarily the greatest thing now, but at the time, 30 or 40 years ago, heck yeah. You want to change your screen name to Bullwinkle? Oh, because of Mr. Wizard? What's up? George is watching on Substack. What's up, people? How you doing? Yeah, and I don't, everybody has whatever identities, but you also are just the person that you are, regardless of like, your genitals or the color of your skin. And I am just the person that I am. I just happen to be a white male. I don't, I don't really like look at myself as that. I just look at myself as an entity, a human being, just like, everybody else on the earth is an entity, a human being who happen to have character traits that you can define them as, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are those things. You know what I'm saying? I think you guys are getting where I'm going with this. Anyways, what was I even on in the first place about? Oh, I was on, about people feeling superior or feeling like they're okay, even though the people in charge might be just terrible people. I can't see my show on Substack right now. Sorry, people. Where is it? There it is. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you guys for watching on alternative platforms. If you're watching on like a Substack or an Odyssey, please like up the video and all that kind of stuff. And thank you for. I vacillate every single day between, staying on YouTube and telling them to take a flying leap, because I think that some of the things that they are doing are downright abusive, and I just don't know, how much longer I can really like allow myself to be in a situation where I feel like I'm being messed with. It actually starts to reflect on my soul. What's up, Reflect the Sun? How you doing? Oh, anyways, where'd this go? Mom Donnie is just is out here towing the line. No wonder Trump liked Mom Donnie, when they had their meeting or whatever. Remember they had their little Oval Office visit, and Trump was like, I like this guy. He's pretty good. Yeah, because he was just like, because Mom Donnie probably just said, I'll do whatever it takes. I'm actually just an Israeli puppet, just like you. We're on the same team. Don't you understand? And Trump was like, "Oh, so we're clear. We're clear on the agenda. We're clear on the real notes that we need to adhere to." And Mom Donnie was like, "Yep." And he's like, "Good, great. This is a smart guy." So here's Mom Donnie saying he thinks that Cuba and Venezuela are oppressive regimes. Oh, really? Are they? But we're free. We are freedom. Freedom. We are freedom in a snack food. We are freedom prize. We're just full of freedom and exporting freedom everywhere and representing freedom, and also rounding people up and kicking them out of the country without any due process. But that's because freedom. That's because freedom. I was going to get to this post eventually. Sorry if it's taking me so long. Zoran Mamdani caves again. Maduro's government is one of repression. There's no question about it. Oh. Wow, towing the imperial line. And leaders of Cuba and Venezuela, dictators who have stifled free and fair elections, jailed political opponents, and suppress the free and fair press, which we would never do. Mamdani represents the segment of the left that parade themselves as democratic socialists, but then help manufacture the consent for Washington to continue attacking every socialist nation on earth. And he's given socialism a bad name. He's also allowing, other countries do this too, but he's also allowing, right, the idea that he's allowing to, he's playing a kind of a willing target of like, oh, Mamdani's just a socialist, crazy communist, lefty, liberal, whack nut job who's going to ruin the city, right? Like with his socialism and everybody, he can just play like that bad guy person. While the U.S. Democratic Socialists continue to achieve absolutely nothing meaningful and perpetually cave to elite power. Exactly. In these days and times, we don't really get, I don't remember the last time we've got any socialist reform. Anybody? I did see that New Mexico passed a free child health care for all children bill. And that's cool. So there are some states here and there that might have a little more socialism. But on a national level, I mean, we can't even raise the minimum wage. That's how crazy, whatever protection for civilians. We have fully been taken over by the capitalist fascist class, and they're just not going to allow any real kind of care or compassion for the people. They're trying to wind that back as quickly as they can. Anything that was in place before that was, deemed socialist, which a minimum wage would fall into the category of like, we're going to make sure, protection for the people. We're going to make sure people have a base level of existence, right? And states, a lot of states have minimum wages that are much higher, California being one. But on a national level, so anytime a state wants to revert back to the federal minimum wage, they can go, you know what? We were just kidding about that. It's still $7, which is laughable. At this point, $7 an hour is like Bangladesh, a sweatshop worker wages in the US. Like anybody working for $7 an hour is like, yo, you can't. Yeah, you could barely eat on $7 an hour. If that's all the expenses you had, if you just had food, you could maybe eat on $7 an hour. Maybe. That's about it. They attack the movements of countries that successfully managed to achieve something, giving Washington's oligarchs and deep state even more justification to sabotage and crush these revolutions with an iron fist. Right. They don't like socialism. They're trying to stamp it out everywhere, even in Europe. But Europe still has a level of socialism that we can't quite comprehend. These democratic socialists then blame the leaders of these countries for the problems caused by being put under a state of siege by Washington. The whole point of these democratic socialists, from the point of view of Washington's elites, is to pacify revolutionary socialism and working class power and present a watered down, useless form of socialism that disappoints the working class and causes the working class to turn to reactionary right-wing politics wrapped in neoliberalism, which in the end again serves the interests of U.S. oligarchs to further concentrate the ownership of capital and national wealth, not only in the U.S., but around the world through military intervention, sabotage, and regime change. Let's listen to.
I wonder if you're reluctant to call them dictators in Cuba and Venezuela.
I'm not reluctant. I just haven't thought about them that often. I'll be honest with you. I think that Maduro's government is one of repression. There's no question about it. And I think
it's in Cuba.
Sorry?
And also it's happening in Cuba since 1959.
And I think that the repression that, whether we're speaking about Cuban New Yorkers or Venezuelan New Yorkers that they have had to live through is a repression that stands in a clear and contrast from what our vision is.
I wonder if you're reluctant to call them dictators in Cuba and Venezuela.
That's wild.
I'm not reluctant.
That's wild. That's wild that he would say that. Mamdani labeling Maduro a dictator at the exact moment Venezuela is being subject to even greater U.S. aggression couldn't be a clearer sign. He is of the Bernie Sanders school of socialism, i.e. a piece of shit imperialist with some moderate social democratic domestic policies. But again, we barely have any, all of Europe and most places around the world have way more safety nets, healthcare being one. And there are others, right? I was just listening to a guy talking about getting out of the matrix or whatever, getting off the grid. And he lived in Sweden. And he's like, oh, I had, an epiphany while I was on my 3-week paid vacation from my job. Who in America gets a paid 3-week vacation except for like CEOs and like super upper management of like corporations? Nobody gets 3 weeks of paid vacation. Like maybe at some jobs you might get one or 2 weeks, depending on where you're at. But they, in Europe, it's common to get like 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks of paid vacation. They get like maternity leave. They get, even paternity leave. They get healthcare. They get free college. They get all these things that we would just be like, what? That's socialism. And that is really cool. Like you want those things. Those are things that you want. And don't let any knucklehead, independent, free thought journalist, anarchist / libertarian / whatever the fuck tell you any different. Don't let them convince you that these are things you don't want because the government's doing it. No, dude. If you let everything get privatized and the corporations do it, they're just gonna. You get what we have now, which is like massive debt, everybody in massive debt from going to school, no health care, bankruptcies, medical bankruptcies, crappy, shitty food, no regulations, barely any regulations of anything, so that we're, eating toxic food and breathing toxic air and drinking what we have when you roll all those socialist programs back, when you tell the government like, nah, we don't need to do that. We can't possibly do that. We can't afford to do that. Let's let the corporations do it. The free market and the private end. Let's let them do it. I don't know. I don't know if these people are like, just not intelligent or or if they're, just doing a really good job, like screwing everybody's brain cells up and mashing them into sweet potato pie. I don't know. Your ex-wife gets 1 month paid in Virginia. Oh, that's cool. What does she do? What does she do for a month paid vacation? I feel like that's just such a rarity in the U.S. Like you got to have a really cushy job to get that. Nurse at the Veterans Admin. All right. It's cool. That's good. Teachers get 3 months. They're not paid though. They don't get paid for 3 months. I mean, ideally they get paid enough so that those 3 months off are now 2 months. They try to, whatever it is. Teachers should be paid a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Oslo's anti-terror police chief took out paid paternity leave with his husband immediately after the terror attack in 2011. Huh. Why? I don't know. How does that make sense? I don't know. Let's see. Reading comments from elsewhere. How come I can't see the Substack comments? Dang it. I'm sorry. I can't really. Let's see. Kate says automatic 2 weeks paid vacation at the paper mill after first 11 months, 1970s, 80s, and 90s. Yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying it's like a policy in Europe, right? Like it's a thing that you have to get, this much paid. And I feel like it used to be much more. The thing is that most, I feel like most governments or every place has a combination of, right? There's authoritarianism on some levels, right? There are some laws or repression going on, in various different ways. And then, and then there are things that the government gives you. I would just much prefer if we're going to be, if you're going to have some repression, and you're going to have repression, like no matter where you live, you're going to have some things that are illegal or frowned upon or not allowed to do or blah, blah, blah. Right. And all those things we could have a lengthy discussion on the merits of those things or whatever. But I would rather get something in return for my tax money or, we used to have strong union representation. F. Ronald Reagan. Yeah. Yeah. There has been a concerted, distinct, very obvious effort over the last several decades to not just roll back government programs that help people under the guise of they're taking your money and giving it to these people who are just sitting around, blah, There has been an effort to roll these things back. And it's been, they've done it. Obama cut SNAP by a lot of money, right? And did anybody notice? Some people were like, hey, but a lot of people didn't even notice that SNAP things got cut under Obama. Clinton cut welfare. And people were touting Biden for giving school loans. That Biden is one of the people that actually made it impossible for you to declare bankruptcy. Like he's one of the people, the architects of like all this debt that people are under. He is one of the main architects over the many decades. He has helped plunge people into, life-ending or life-threatening, levels of debt, and made it easier, for people to fall prey to these loans and whatnot. He's one of the people that architected all that. And so for him to be like, well, relieve, some people got their school loans relieved. Some people did not. And, why is that a win? Like people are drowning in the mountains of debt. It's a structural problem that shouldn't be happening. There's no reason why people should be drowning in like $200,000, $300,000 worth of debt from school loans. Only to have one president go like, I'll help you out a little bit, oh yay, what are you cheering for? Like, come on, man. I mean, it's great if you got your school loans relieved or you got some help from that. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure that's very helpful, but you should still be upset that the system is structured in a way that you have all these mountains of debt. Like it shouldn't be. There's no reason for that. Redacted as a new special on 9/11. Okay. I don't know. I'm 9/11'd out, honestly. I know what it was. I just don't need to. I feel like I've seen all the information I could see about it. But once in a while, I watch some things on 9/11. But I don't know. It's like I vacillate some days between being, infuriated that the world is the way it is, and then there are other days when I'm just like, of course it's that way. Like, why are you getting all uptight? Why are you spending energy getting upset about it? Like, duh. Has anybody heard the the stupid AI anthem song about Charlie Kirk? It's freaking hilarious. Maybe I can find it. But they've actually done a really good job of like redirecting people's brains, rewiring people's brains to want, conservatism and libertarianism, and like not understanding just how regressive those things are, how not good for you those things are. And people are like, yeah, this is cool. Hold on one second. Maybe I can find it. Is this it? This is hilarious. This is an AI generated song about Charlie Kirk, but it's just so freaking bombastic. Here you go. Hold on.
We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel. We'll honor his name. We are.
Okay. That's just, oh God. Yes, Bella, everything I needed to know about 9/11 I learned in physics 1. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to something else here. Building 7 did not unalive itself. No. 3 strikes and you're out under Epstein's Island Bill 2. What? People with little nor no experience are being employed on limited contracts, and teachers have been resigning in droves for years now. Yeah, being a teacher ain't what it used to be, and it wasn't what it used to be when it used to be being a teacher was something. But like it was being a teacher as a what if it was your wife? I don't understand. What? No, Charlie Kirk's not dead, do you? Yo, he's not. And that was just the fakest thing ever. I don't know. I feel like physics 1 could apply to that whole thing too. Like if you just look at it through like, oh, what are they saying about the rifle and the bullet and the reaction and the everything about it is just like, no, I don't think so. Oh, I'm laughing at that song Going South. I'm laughing my ass off. That shit is funny, dude. That shit is hilarious. Oh my God, I will laugh all day at that song. That is the most bombastic piece of shit I've ever heard. And it's great. Teachers generally get retirement with decent pensions, depending on where you work, how long you work there. Why are you going south? Are you offended? I don't know. I don't really care if you're offended, but it's just ridiculous. You're getting upset about something that didn't even happen. So I don't know why you would waste your energy doing that. You don't understand that they're all like Mossad agents playing a game with your brain. Like, I guess it's working on you. I don't know. Unless you're being funny. I don't know. Are you being funny? I can't really tell. It's hard because some people just like to fuck around in the chats and say stuff, and then they're like, when I respond to it as if it's something serious, they're like, haha, just kidding. Ha ha. It's the old, you're not being censored, dude. Nobody's censoring you. I can see all your chats. I mean, teachers get paid well when there's funds to pay them. I mean, they keep cutting the school budgets in California. Are you? I don't. Okay. Oh, okay. Exactly. Exactly, Timothy Martin. It is awful, Stepsy. It's terrible. It's so awful that it's laughable. It sounds like a song from Team USA. Right. It sounds like a South Park parody. Abby Martin has a new documentary out taking aim at one of the world's largest polluters, the U.S. military. What? Say what? All right. All right, Abby Martin. Sarcasm does happen, Kate. Okay. I feel like it's getting a little comical, and that's okay. That's okay. On October 18th, the Empire Files, so this is a while ago, premiered its highly anticipated film about the devastating impact our environment and planet are experiencing due to the United States military-industrial complex, titled Earth's Greatest Enemies. Has anybody seen this movie? It follows journalists Abby Martin and Mike Preisner, who spent years researching, studying, traveling the world to report on the effects of the military's massive carbon footprint. The documentary follows the filmmakers as they interview activists on the Japanese island of Okinawa, confront Nancy Pelosi at Glasgow's COP26, visit the Matanuska Glacier in Alaska, and jump on a helicopter at the rim of the Pacific exercise, the world's largest international maritime warfare drill. Don't know why I had a hard time saying that. The film's creators started the project 5 years ago, but as part of their ongoing body of work as investigative journalist, Martin has reported on the U.S. war machine throughout her career. Preisner, a U.S. Army veteran, has dedicated his life since returning from Iraq to exposing U.S. war crimes and lies by speaking out and organizing anti-war protests. The military is essentially a worshipped and revered institution in this country. True. Martin told Southlander journalist Morgan Keith, a lot of Americans have no idea that we live in a global military empire. True. When you say the word empire, they think you're talking about Star Wars. In addition to their individual work, they launched the Empire Files in 2015, an interview and documentary series in which they've reported from the West Bank, Venezuela, Colombia, the Amazon, and much more. Like our first documentary film, Gaza Fights for Freedom, we want the film to serve as a tool for activists and organizers across the country to help more people understand how capitalism and U.S. imperialism are at the heart of climate change. Well, yeah, I think we knew that. I think we knew that the U.S. military was the biggest polluter, right? Y'all know that by now, right? Gaza Fights for Freedom was indeed a good Jabby Martin. It's, I think that CK is still alive. Oh, you think it's interesting? I think he's still alive. Oh, Candace is an op. Candace is an op. Candace is an op. all these people are ops. Like it's and I feel like she's, I mean, I find some of her work interesting, and I find some of the things that she's doing interesting. But I also feel like there's a nod and a wink maybe to some of the people that are like, we'll act like, kind of like Mamdani, right? Like we'll act like we're calling you out. We'll say some really controversial, like crazy stuff, and everybody will go like, "Oh my God," nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Right? They're like, we'll do that our bit and be the controversial outsider, and you can point at us and go, "You're nuts," but they're playing a role. So I do think that Candace Owens is an op, even though I find some of her stuff interesting. I just don't see. So there's two things. I'll just say two quick things about CK. The way that supposedly the bullet that took him out was pretty big and should have done much more damage. So physics, defying the laws of physics there. And then the fact that everything was just cleaned up right afterwards, right? They just whisked him away, put him in a car. Nobody did an autopsy. Nobody saw his body afterwards. Nobody, everybody, when he was shot, everybody like went in opposite directions from him, right? A couple people were like, "Oh, Charlie, are you okay?" Mostly everybody was like, anyways. There's just so many things that are so weird about it. And I, without going, I don't even really care that much about the whole incident. So I won't even go that far into it, but it just seems obvious to me that it's just, and the idea that he actually, I just don't think, I think it's on the low probability end that he's actually dead. I think it's probably high probability that he's still alive. Anyways. Let's see. She's the number one podcaster. Denver says, think about all the messaging around Candace on how the French supposedly want her dead. When that doesn't happen, does it make all indie media and conspiracy theorist movements lose face? Yeah, right. There's also that part of it too, right? To delegitimize the people that are asking questions. You have somebody, they found the shooter in 33 hours. Yeah. I mean, it's just blueprint of all the other things like that have happened. It's like a blueprint. It's like the same stuff just happens every time. And it's like, no, no. Yeah, it's unfortunate though that they, bought the whole like COVID thing. As I said, not everybody is an expert at everything, right? Some people can be very, very adept, very adroit at seeing something clearly, or understanding something clearly, and it'd just be completely out to lunch on other subjects. It's okay. It doesn't mean they're stupid people. Like everybody has blind spots. you can't, know it all. You can't see it all. You can't be like a perfect person. Oh, it's unfortunate that they were, she and Mike were taken in by that whole scenario. They didn't figure that one out, and maybe they will eventually. I don't know. But it's cool that they're calling out the U.S. military's, destruction of the planet. Among all the other things that are going on, like building data centers as quickly as we can. Guys, man, yeah, I heard that like China is deploying robots to serve as like border patrols in China. It's going to get really weird here pretty soon. Okay, let's read this. Let's look at this, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we're talking about socialism today, and actually how it's not. It could be something that people would enjoy if we would stop demonizing it so much. There was a time when Democrats, even Southern Democrats, were like, hey, give me free stuff today, because it's not free stuff. It's just a basic level of care for the money that you pay the government every year. And every card-carrying Republican loves their Social Security and their Medicare. I know this is Bernie Sanders, but this is true. Number of people who go bankrupt a year due to medical debt, and I would actually probably say that maybe these numbers aren't totally correct, because maybe some people go, and I don't know, who knows. He lists all these countries and 0 people medical debt. The United States, 530,000 a year. That seems like a lot. That's like 500,000 people a year. You're on your way to medical bankruptcy? Yeah. Oh, shit, Bella. It's yeah. It happens. Medical bankruptcy, legal bankruptcy, like all kinds of ways to do it. Yeah. I feel like it's, a little oversimplification, just saying. But in general, people in other countries, almost every other country has free medical care for its citizens. We, how I don't know how we can do that. Well, I don't know how every other country can do it with a much smaller GDP and, much smaller military budget. And, supposedly lower or higher varying living standards, but they can seem to give their citizens free healthcare or very cheap healthcare, extremely cheap healthcare. But we cannot. Why? Because somebody wants to just bilk us for every penny that they love it when people go into bankruptcy and owe them thousands of dollars. But there's absolutely no need for that. Anyways. I thought for Felon, I read your comment as trust in pay science. Science. You think it's death care in Germany too? All right. But I mean, at least it's free. I mean, I hear varying stories around, people's medical experience, but you get free, you get to get some care. I know somebody who's living in the Netherlands right now. They're like, I have to go get something done. They're like, you're good. And generally the story I hear is it's mostly free or very, very cheap, extremely cheap. Are you serious, Schulte? What the fuck? Are you serious? Dang. It's frustrating. All right. Gonna show two more clips before we're done. If you want to support the show, if you would like to support the show, there are ways to support the show, and you know how to do it. There are lots of links in the description box. We're gonna pass the hat right now. Pass the hat. Everybody chuck $1 in. It's this imaginary hat in my hand. If I took my hat off and pass the hat, there's a lot of links in the description box. Places where you can chuck us a few quid. You can also support at Substack, Patreon, as well. This is Butch Ware, who was on the Green Party ticket at one time in the last couple of years. I'm sorry you're going through that, Schulte, man. It is freaking frustrating. Butch Ware is talking about Malcolm X's ballot or the bullet speech as a blueprint for political change. Reflect the Sun, thank you for the coffee. You rock. You can get help in Mexico, actually. A lot of people go to Mexico going south for healthcare because it's way cheap. They go there for dental work because it's way cheaper. Way. They go there to get hip replacements. It happens all the time. That's like a big business, is for people to go to Mexico to get taken care of because it's so much cheaper down there. Because everything here is for profit and effed up.
So Malcolm in 64 said that we are going to knock on every door in Harlem and we're going to register every black face behind every door, not as a Democrat, not as a Republican. Malcolm was understanding that there was actual electoral strategies that were revolutionary, but they had to take place out of the context of the duopoly. And similarly, Kwame Ture, similarly, Hugh P. Newton and Bobby Seale and other Panthers utilized electoral political strategies as part of their overall Black revolutionary agenda. So the idea is basically to take Malcolm's 1964 Ballot of the Bullet, which he delivered twice, April 3rd in Cleveland, 1964, and then April 12th in Detroit, and use this basically as a way to branch out on how we can utilize electoral political interventions to actually make radical change. And that's also kind of what was at stake in the conversation about Zoran. The fundamental issue of trying to execute change inside the Democrat Party is that they are going to try to make sure that it is reformist and not revolutionary.
And what happened to
there has been this effort to silence in every conceivable way in life and in death.
Yeah.
Right.
Those,
Yeah, exactly.
Exponents of this revolutionary tradition. So I would just ask, that anybody that's hearing this, take some time to learn about Imam Jamil El-Amin. He was an extraordinary human being who laid down his life in struggle for liberation, not just of his people, but of all people.
Yeah, a lot of the people that he mentioned ended up unalived. for their efforts. Not to frighten anybody. Remember to shut up so that you don't get whacked. Why I'd F the duopoly. Oh, let's see. So this, I guess George Galloway is being leaned on in the UK for speaking up and speaking out. Yeah.
Law enforcement to the extent that his health is affected, clearly so.
This is like descending into vaudevillian rendition of Kafka. This is such a distinguished parliamentarian, long-serving member of the British government, gets pulled under the 2000 Terrorism Act for his political views. What he's broadcast online, this is a clear abuse of what is a completely arbitrary law that was meant to deal with suicide bombers, hijackers, but the government is clearly losing the narrative on both Ukraine and Gaza, two issues that George is extremely vocal on. Just look at the polling on the public support in the US and the UK for Israel. It's absolutely cratered, and that tells you all you need to know about how out of touch these governments are with the people on these issues. And that's not going to change. Ditto with the EU.
Yeah, this is happening across the board here and there. All because basically people are compromised and also afraid of being unalived. Apparently, somebody was saying that I heard somebody saying the Trump feared for his life, and I was, of course he does. I'm sure he does. It's like, what's the saying? Money or the bullet? Peso o pluma? Is that the phrase? Peso o pluma? Take the plata. I think it's plata. Anyways, plata o pluma means money or the bullet. Means, do what we want you to do and take this money or else. So, real revolutionaries are people who stand on business, are people who are authentically about change. They often meet with serious resistance. I don't know how to change that, because it seems to be pretty apparent that the most criminal elements of the planet, the cartels, the real cartels, are taking the mask off, showing themselves to be who they are, and they're just, kind of obviously saying, well, we're gonna just do what we want. All right, is anybody gonna stop us? Guess not. That's kind of where we're at. Unalived Kennedys. Greatest band name ever. A pretty good band name. When I told my sister about when I was really little, and I was really little, I was like 4 or 5 listening to the Dead Kennedys. No, I was a little older than that. And I was like listening to the Dead Kennedys, and I think we had a conversation, I think, about the name Jello Biafra, and she was like, "Oh." I didn't really know what the name Jello Biafra meant, or I didn't know what Biafra was. I was too young to know, I knew what Dead Kennedys referred to, but like I didn't understand what Biafra was. She had to explain to me what the name meant. I was like, "Oh." 10 Spot or Boom Boom. Pretty good band, Dead Kennedys. I did enjoy them back in the day. All right, guys, that does it for me. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed this riveting conversation and this raucous banter in the chats. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. Until next time, beware the bear.